Let's cast the Specters Shroud. Free equip the Specters Shroud. That's Reyav, and that's Fervent Champion. It's gonna get double strike. Mango goes no blocks. Wow. Discards 2. Hey guys, there's 2 great ways to support the channel. All links are in the description below. Welcome back, everyone. Boros month continues with Reyav Master Smith. Let's take a look at this opener. It's got some lands. Lands are good. Doesn't actually have any equipment in it, which is maybe a little concerning, but there's a lot of equipment in the deck, so I feel good that we'll draw into something. I will take mana production removal and a Waves of Aggression, and just hope that we get there with the equipment. So I have yet to actually play Reyav as a commander. It's one that I've been wanting to play for a long time, but they released so many Voltron commanders in such a short period of time, and I just never really got around to it. There were a lot of Boros commanders. I mean, the number of Boros commanders has jumped up by, what, probably 20 or 30 in the last 3 years? So it means that I've been really busy, and I haven't had time to get to this one. Notable about Reyav is that the cards you want for your 99 have a pretty good amount of overlap with Kalemni. But I do think there are a couple things to like about Reyav a little bit better, and that, in particular, that is that it gives other creatures double strike. So, like, if you have to recast Reyav and it doesn't have haste, you can still attack with something else and get all that value. Also, Reyav being 2 mana means it just comes down super early, and so you can start running away with value very quickly into the game. There's a fun little lottery in this deck, which is Destructive Urge. This is a particularly mean card to play, and if you win the lottery and an opponent loses the lottery, you could play Reyav on turn 2, Destructive Urge on turn 3, and make them sacrifice 2 lands, assuming no one interacts, and that will probably take them out of the game. Generous Gift is not an equipment, makes me sad. Play a mountain, play the Fervent Champion. Mango's here, so we'll attack Mango first. Always a good decision. But there's a couple other interesting cards in this deck, some of which I'm trying out, because again, I haven't actually played this commander yet. I think the treasure creating equipments can be very interesting with the double strike. I think that can be a good source of mana. Rogue's Gloves gets much better when your commander has double strike. It's not one that I typically run, but I think for this commander it makes sense. Umezawa's is very good with double strike. Almost unplayable without it, honestly. Like, if it's not Aurelia or if it's not double strike, Umezawa's is probably a little bit too slow, but in those cases, it can be game winning. I would say it has the biggest variance of any equipment that you probably run. Of sometimes it does nothing, sometimes it just wins you the game. So a lot of variance with Umezawa's. The other one that is kind of interesting is Specters Shroud. Essentially the discard portion of Feast and Famine. That's another one on the, like, don't lose this lottery kind of thing. You can also get that very early into the game and start making your opponents discard, which I have to imagine will be 1, very powerful, and 2, probably very, very upsetting to them. So those are some of the more interesting card choices. The rest of the deck is like Boros good stuff, Boros Voltron. Nothing that we haven't really seen before. Notably, I am running Sigarda's Aid, which I don't typically run in a lot of decks, but I feel like this is a good deck for it. Arcane Signet for the Asika opponent. Let's take a read of our commander. It's Reyav Master Smith. 2 mana for a 2/2. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, that creature gains double strike until end of turn. I've chosen to go full equipment with this. You could probably sneak in 1 or 2 auras, though. Like, all that glitters tends to be good late in the game. Especially since Reyav is kind of... Uh-oh. Someone's about to lose the lottery. Since Reyav is kind of small. Ooh. So we could go... Let's go Reyav first, and then we'll go Specters Shroud next turn. We'll attack Flintlock, because we're probably not going to get past that Mother of Runes for a little bit. Ooh, that's a Thalia. Spicy. Spicy. That's actually kind of terrible for us. We need to cast a lot of equipment still, and that's going to make it a lot more painful to do so. Also, he's got this Tithe in hand still. There's a Kodama's Reach for opponent, so no blocking there. I'm hoping Mango doesn't play anything that they can block with profitably. That's the 4-mana Kodama's Reach, by the way. Much more painful. Kinnan Bonder Prodigy coming in. There's another 2/2. Enters the battlefield, draws a card. Yeah, I mean, if we put the Specters Shroud in their direction, they'll block with something, I'm sure. So we can at least eat a little bit of value that way. I know we could get 7 deadly, but I feel like the Asika deck is probably much slower than what we're doing. Mother of Runes is a brick wall to us, basically, so can't go over there. Let's cast the Specters Shroud. Free equip the Specters Shroud. I think I'm going to force Mango into a block, because I know this can be really bad. My assumption is that the Asika deck is just a little bit less stronger than some of the other decks at the table. So with something like this, I don't necessarily like to beat up on the player that I think is a little bit weaker. That's Reyav, and that's Fervent Champion. It's gonna get double strike. Mango goes no blocks. Wow. Discards 2. Get an island and a Raven form. I'll take it. Pass like that. They still have a lot of mana production with the Kinnan, though. We probably don't want to cast any additional creatures just because we're probably going to need to Blasphemous Act at some point in this game. There's a Burnished Heart. Smothering Tithe. Ew. Well, we don't really have the mana to Generous Gift yet, so that's going to be a thing. So at this point, we're probably going to have to set up for more of a late game play. And I was kind of thinking about this with Reyav too, but the fact that it's a 2-2, I like that it comes down early, but it doesn't. Its size doesn't scale by itself. So it does mean that you need to put like quite a bit on there if you're actually going to get Commander Lethal. So as I was thinking about this deck, I do think you spend your early game as a value generator. Morit of the Frost. Cool card. Changeling enters the battlefield as a copy of a permanent you control except it's legendary and snow. And if it's a creature, enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it and has Changeling. So it's basically Mana Dork Tribal over there is what Mango has going. Yeah, at some point, I mean, we're going to have to Blasphemous Act, but I don't know that point is yet. Maybe it is. Smothering Tithe, because we could, they'd probably Mother of Ruins on the Burnished Heart, because that would make sense. Not paying for the Tithe. Since they have a Smothering Tithe, I think I'm going to send the Fervent Champion in their direction. Mango will probably get cleaned out pretty good if we cast Blasphemous Act. Yeah, maybe we do cast Blasphemous Act just because Thalia is going to be really terrible for us. Let's go to combat. We'll swing into 7 Deadly this time. Send the Reyav also since we're going to Blasphemous Act anyway. Double strike on the Fervent Champion. Specters Shroud. That's 2 hits from that. What do we get? Austere Command. Getting rid of some pretty good removal out of our opponent's hand. Hopefully that doesn't bite us. So when discarding removal like this, if this stuff hits your opponents worse than you, then like this doesn't work out, but you don't know that that's going to happen. And a Bolas. Love it. Okay, so I think if we go Blasphemous Act, we should be able to then go Talisman, and assuming they don't save the Thalia, but I assume they save the Burnished Heart. Yeah, so Blasphemous Act is the minimum. Let's cast the Blasphemous Act. A lot of value to clean up right here. Protecting, yeah, the Burnished Heart, just like we thought. So just the Burnished Heart left in play. Thalia down, thank God. Although, I mean, Thalia is helpful against like some other nonsense from other opponents, but I think it's just going to hurt us too much for what we're trying to do. Play the Bloodstained Mire, crack the Bloodstained Mire, get a Plateau, play the Talisman, and then play Tithe, getting Mistveil Plains and Sacred Foundry. And that's not a bad little turn. Pass like that. Smothering Tithe, continuing to trigger. Probably pop that this coming turn, if nothing else comes up. Because Asika is a deck that's just loaded with big late game stuff, and you don't want them to have the mana to be able to just cast all of it easily. Cracks the Burnished Heart. Yep. Man, this Specters Shroud got rid of 4 cards. It's not bad. 3 of them really powerful. One's a land, right? Lands are, if Mango misses their next land drop, they're probably going to feel that a lot too. 4 cards is a big deal. Expedition map for opponent. There's a Prismatic Bridge. Yep, that is also not great. Which scarier? Smothering Tithe or Prismatic Bridge? I have too many bad memories of Smothering Tithe. Unfortunately, they're the same card type, and we only have so much removal for that, but this will slam something big every turn. Mind Stone. So Mango hits a land, plays a Mind Stone, getting themselves back on track with mana. There's a Rex Sage. I hope they go after one of those things and not our Shroud, but I would not be surprised if they went, okay, that works. Prismatic Bridge down. So now we can easily Generous Gift the Smothering Tithe and not have to worry about what we're giving up by doing that. That's a Magma Quake. Could also be helpful. Not a ton of board wipes in this deck, but we've drawn 2 of them, so I do think that Magma Quake will come in handy at some point in this game. Not paying for the Tithe. Generous Gift the Smothering Tithe. Not much else we can do this turn, so Mistveil Plains and pass like that. Mango says they're the grumpy old troll that lives under the bridge. It has got Eternal Oketra. Yeah, it's a real magic card. Selfless Spirit makes Magma Quake much less good. Do need to find some equipment. Love a little card draw. Little card draw wouldn't be terrible. Everyone kind of low on resources after a bunch of creatures came down and a flurry of removal that followed. 7 Deadly's got the most cards in hand with 4, and also the most mana. Prismatic Bridge coming back. Yeah, that's what you can do when you have all the mana. Still got 5 treasures left. No follow-up, which is good. Land for Mango. Kinnan back to play. Brings it back to our turn. A Plains is not what we needed. Cast our commander. equip the Specters Shroud, play the Sacred Foundry tapped, and we pass like that. God Eternal, yeah, I mean, all three of our opponents have a pretty good opportunity to make some big plays this turn. I am not thrilled about catching the planes right there. We kind of need them. We needed to make a stronger play than what we just did, because I think our opponents are about to do some wild stuff. Ideally, if we could catch a pro red sword just to not blow away our own commander, would be nice. We need a bunch of things. We kind of need a Wheel of Fortune, to be honest with you. Not that I really want to... Ooh, no Wheel of Fortune in this deck? No Wheel of Fortune in this deck. There's a Jeska's Will. Yeah, we need some card draw. Ignite the Future would probably be okay. That's a Hushbringer. That is brutal against the green decks. I hope we don't find our Stoneforge Mystic, just because gets shut off by that would feel pretty bad. We need an equipment. Any of our other equipment tutors should be fine. Maybe this deck needs a Mother of Ruins, because that, as long as you don't have a pro white sword on, that would allow you to get past a lot of blockers. We're taking the Oketra hit here. That's going to be 6 after the double strike, and spreads around the rest of it a little bit. Mango going to try to preserve life a little bit, block the zombie. I'd probably save that block, honestly. 4 this early in the game isn't like a huge deal. I'd rather save it for the bigger thing that's coming later, probably. You know what? Fire and Ice would actually be a solid pickup right here, because we would love to be able to shoot some things off the board. Oh, that's a Heliod's Intervention. Well, at least takes down the bridge. We do lose our Specters Shroud. Specters Shroud, I mean, I'm sad about it going, but it's kind of done its job already. So there is that. I mean, that Heliod's Intervention is now no longer up in case we find our Fire and Ice or other desirable equipment. I mean, they have so much mana. Day of Judgment is... they have a Selfless thingy. So all that really does get rid of the Selfless Spirit. We lose our Commander, which is not amazing. Does open up the possibility of Magma Quake, though. Maybe we're just sitting on a Magma Quake, depending on what we draw. Back to the command zone. Defense of the Heart. That probably gets 7 deadly attacked. I mean, maybe we don't Magma Quake just because I don't think we're really the threat. I think Esika is the scariest at this point just because they have so much late game potential. Like if they hit 2 of the right creatures off this thing, then... Is it Search? Oh, that's Search your library for 2 creatures. Yeah, that could just be game ending. Biomancer is familiar for Mango. Haven't actually looked at everyone's commanders yet. So first up is Sergeant Flintlock piloting God Eternal Oketra. One that we've seen on the channel a bunch of times, and they're doing the fairly typical Hate Bear thing with God Eternal Oketra. Very solid mono white deck. Still suffers from some of mono white's problems, which are that everything you do is slow and telegraphed and prone to sorcery speed removal. But other than that, it's still a very powerful deck, and you can build it in some ways where it generates some really good value. Cavalier Dawn is a magic card. Ooh, Hushbringer's in play. Cavalier isn't going to do anything. So we'll hold off on that Cavalier, then play the Plains, get our Reyav into play. Wow, 6 mana. Rough. Recast Reyav and just try to set up and hope we find that equipment soon. Eldrazi. Oh, God. Eldrazi Displacer with Hushbringer is annoying, but probably not busted. Could remove our attacker at some point, which would be unfortunate. Yeah, big attack into 7 deadly. I assume there's some big creatures about to be coming down. Unless Flintlock's got a little more removal in hand. Puts 7 deadly down to 17. 7 deadly, by the way, piloting the Esika deck. Prismatic Bridge. And they're about to go search for 2 creatures right here. Let's see what the nastiest things they have are. Vorinclex is always a bad time. Jin-Gitaxias, also a bad time. Elish Norn would wreck this board pretty good. I'm just naming all the Praetors, is what I'm doing. Legendary Eldrazi, also scary. No cast triggers, but still scary. Gisela is a pretty bad time. Avacyn and Coma. Ooh. That's a brick wall of a board state. Gonna be hard to deal with that. That might just be you have to attack around it. Although, Coma's gonna make so many bodies. Sphinx of the Steelwind. Protection from green and red. Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink. Pretty cool card. Doesn't usually see a ton of play in most places, but if you're into the keyword thing, which I've been really big on lately, it's got a lot of keywords on it. Interesting with the... Depending on how much mana opponent wanted to sink into it, opponent could actually blink all of the Coma Serpents, and they can at least keep their Serpent count under control. Another land for Mango. Recast the commander. What I don't like is Coma's ability to tap down a permanent. That is really good against an unprotected Voltron creature. Once again, that makes Fire and Ice probably a prime target here because the pro blue. Yep, another Coma Serpent. Yep, they're gonna eat a Coma. They're gonna eat a Serpent. Love it. We have Umazawas in the deck. If we can get Umazawas pumped up enough, we could, in theory, kill an Avacyn or a Coma with that. Oh, Mountain. You're kidding me. Sit on Magmaquake. I'm running like 35 lands, too. Pretty tight. So, I mean, we probably should have mulliganed this hand, honestly. It has not panned out, but we had so much good stuff. It was like a little land heavy. I would have preferred probably like 3 lands and something that generates value, like Tome of Legends, Mask of Memory, Sword of the Animist, any of that stuff. Opponent's going to attempt to tap the Nykthos. See if opponent responds with more activations and blinking. They make some mana. I mean, they can still tap down some of these creatures, even though they're indestructible. So if we can get Flintlock to kill 7 deadly, we are live to the Magmaquake getting rid of most of Flintlock's stuff. The Hushbringer will still be in play, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, they're going to tap down the Coma. I think they can get 3 here. Tap down the Avacyn. Yeah, they've got enough to do it one more time. 7 deadly is exposed. And tap down the Sphinx of the Steelwind. A lot of S's in that one. Yeah, Eldrazi Displacer. Solid Magic card. One that I've tried to run in like some of the combo Aurelia decks that I've played, because there's about a 4-card combo with that. You need Eldrazi Displacer, Feast and Famine, Aurelia, and a creature that can continually hit with the Feast and Famine. Basically, that untaps all your lands. You blink Aurelia in response to its own trigger. It comes back in, and then Aurelia untaps itself. And then you can keep attacking with it that way. Or you can just tap down all your opponent's blockers and get there with combat damage. This won't kill them, I don't think, but it's going to hurt real bad and probably get them hit real hard on the crackback, which I can also appreciate. They go down to 4. Yeah, they're getting down there. Still, does this thing have lifelink? Does have lifelink, so they'll gain 6 back. Most likely. I had a fault line in here before the game started, and I cut it just to make room for something, and fault line would solve this 4 life problem. That's a Wrath of God. That's bad. Does open up our Cavalier of Dawn, but at that point, Mango scoops it. Yeah, that's fine. Mango is dead in the water. Reyav to the command zone. Cavalier, not at all helpful against 7 deadly with an Avacyn in play. We're on the 8-mana recast of Reyav. Bow of Nylea. Ooh, yeah. Death Touch. Though I was kind of hoping Mango would stick in here just to take some punches, because now with only 2 of us in this board state, we'll both go down pretty quickly. Here's a big old shot. God, what is that? It's like 25 or something. They're at 33. They go to 10. 23. That is a bit. Hearth and Home showing up late here. Let's get Reyav back to play. The blue serpents will be a giant problem. We're live to a farewell. So if either Flintlock has one or we have one, that's probably about the only out. They're gonna tap down the Nykthos, yeah. Although if they go on the big attack, so they're sacrificing some of their serpents. There's still probably gonna be 1 or 2 left though. I mean, what does getting lands even do? If for some reason Avacyn went down, Hearth and Home Cavalier would be a reasonable place, but I don't actually know that we have enough mana to even really get that going. Taps down most of opponent's mana. Yep, Coma is OP like that. If they couldn't tap us down with Coma, Aurelia could in theory get us there. Maybe not. The serpents make it complicated. Wow, no place from Flintlock. Yep. So at this point we need a green and a blue sword and to not get tapped down by the thing. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Farewell off the top. See if there's anything else in the deck that even helps at all. Winds of Abandon would be helpful. Not running it currently, though. Chaos Warp would get rid of Avacyn, but I don't know that that's a strong enough play. I mean, we could buy time with it, but other things would still have to happen, and we're just not in a good spot. We're supposed to generate early game value, and we did not do that. We made opponents discard 4 cards, which is definitely helpful. But we're only taking... What are we taking? We're taking the Sphinx of the Steelwind. All things considered, that's not too bad. Maximum time to draw that Farewell. We need to draw something other than a land. Flintlock goes down. Back to our turn. More serpents. Wow, another land, really? Really? Can we even survive a turn? At 27. I'm good to scoop it here. We might get one more turn, but if it's not Farewell off the top, it doesn't even matter. It was not Farewell. It was another land. Wow. All the lands. So, not a super representative look at the deck because we only drew lands. Kind of painful. Kind of painful. Got a good look at everyone else's deck. Also got to look at the lottery with Specters Shroud, which was pretty decent, right? It kind of took Mango out of the game once in combination with the board wipe, because then they just don't have cards to cast, and it's a pretty good place to be. But yeah, we didn't draw any cards, and that was a huge problem. So I might add another piece of card draw to the deck, like a Showdown of the Scalds, just to try and prevent issues like that in the future. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel, vote on which decks I play next, or if you want to get some good games of Spell Table, be sure to check out my Patreon at the link below.